I'm Hollywood, and I am a patient at Discovery Point Retreat. I used with my child's father. I'm a mom, and my baby's 2 now, but I used with my child's father for 4 years. And towards the end of the last year, I used up all my resources. And
what resources?
My family, my parents, I was living with them. Losing my job, losing my car, losing trust in my family. And I had an opportunity that God put in my life to go to rehab. My sister is in recovery as well, and her wife, and they offered to take care of my baby. So CPS didn't get involved, thank God. So I made that decision, and somehow DPR found me. And they told me, like, okay, do you want to go to Dallas? And I thought they meant Dallas, Georgia. And then they sent me the link and it said Dallas, Texas. And I was like, okay, well, might as well. I don't have nothing else, and I want to get out of my addiction. The fact that I didn't care what I had to do to get my drug of choice. I didn't care the people I had to step on. I didn't care about breaking or burning bridges with my family, and I didn't care who I hurt in the process. It was very selfish. And when you're in your addiction, you don't see that. You're very blind. So when my family told me, like, they cut me off, they kicked me out, and I had nowhere to go. My parents are they're amazing. And they've always supported us, and did everything for us, so we never had to do it ourselves, So I didn't know how to pay bills. I didn't know how to do things on my own. I was working, but eventually it came to the point where I just wanted to get high all the time, and I didn't care if I went to work. I think in the process, like in my addiction for the 4 years, I slowly started to recognize that I had a problem, because I couldn't stop on my own. And I had like short times where I was sober, like for a month or so, but the obsession always came back, and I didn't know about sobriety, so I didn't know that I could get help and that there were people willing to help. I was just hopeless. I was like, if I go back out there, I'm gonna use and I'm eventually gonna die. And they told me, well, here's a list that you can call, and I just said, whatever. I didn't know what to do, and I got a phone call, and they're like, they just found me. I don't know how. I really don't. And so my sister talked to them to make sure it was legit and see the wordage that they use, because we use a certain vocabulary in sobriety. And they sent me all the links, and the next day, actually, I got my ticket and I came to Texas. I came to Dallas, because I knew that if I didn't go right now, I would have changed my mind. The first time around, I surrendered. I was desperate. I didn't want to live like that anymore, and I didn't know any other way to live. But I did know that God had a different plan for me. So when I was on the plane, I was very, I guess I was at a peace, and I had a peace of mind knowing that I was going to get help.
I bet that was huge.
It was, I was nervous, but when I did get to DPR and I finally surrendered and stopped fighting it and accepted the help that they were there to give me. So the first time, I know I have my baby, and as a mom, I'm always worried about him. And I didn't have that peace of mind. Like, I knew he was safe, but I still couldn't sleep. And once I fully surrendered, I had the peace of mind that now I can work on myself. And there's also like, okay, it's a 45 days, 35 days, when am I gonna leave, but I wasn't eager. I was eager to, I was surrendered, so I wasn't worried about when I'm gonna leave. I'll leave when I need to leave. And then eventually when I did leave, I remember I was excited, but I was also nervous. I had a healthy fear because it's a bubble, we don't have the capability of calling up who we want or doing what we want.
It was almost like, okay, your life's back in your hands.
Right. It's
now.
like it's a newborn baby. Like, you're going out into the real world again. I was eager. I went to the DPR sober living and I loved it. I got a job right away. I started applying for jobs. I was scared because I came here with nothing, and when I got there, God blessed me with everything. Not what I necessarily wanted, but what I needed. Coming in here, so in my life, I've been to a few therapists, and they just, in my experience, they just told me what I wanted to hear. I'm like, oh, I have this problem, and they just encouraged it, like, okay, yeah, you have this problem, you need this medicine. And we didn't get to the core of why I felt that way, but my therapist helped me look inside and realize that I was standing in the way of myself. Like, I was my worst enemy. I didn't feel judged. Like, I was so open, and the relationship was so, like, I can feel that he has compassion for his job. And I was very comfortable. I'm very comfortable around my therapist. So being open and honest with him was very easy from the get-go. And I didn't feel judged. He's very cutthroat. He's very honest. And I like that, and I need that. Because I was such an extremist in my addiction. I need to be an extremist in my sobriety. Once I got out, I was doing a good job. I was very eager to jump into sobriety. Going to AA meetings on Zoom, doing my outpatient treatment on the phone, using my coping skills that I learned at DPR, such as journaling, praying, my yoga, and my meditation, and working out. I love working out. Eventually, now that I can look back at it, I saw it slowly declining, slowly stopping. I stopped using my coping skills because I became complacent and I felt comfortable. I knew God was with me, but I wasn't working on that relationship, and I wasn't putting my sobriety first, which you have to do. If you put anything in front of your sobriety, it's not gonna work. I got 2 jobs as a waitress, and eventually I went towards one which was not in the best environment, and I put that in front of my recovery. I started working just in the daytime, and eventually it turned into daytime and nighttime. I was working 16 hours, 5 days a week, because with an addictive mentality or addiction in general, it's very easy to put something else in place of your old addiction. I didn't believe when people told me how bad meth was. Cocaine is a stimulant, so meth is a stimulant as well, and it can keep you up for days. And I didn't believe that. I'm like, how can something keep you up for days? I used it and I was up for 2 days, and I didn't even know. I didn't know. And when I came to, I realized that I slept maybe an hour, and I was in a very, very bad situation. I put myself in a very dangerous situation. I was out there for a week. I was selling myself because I put money in front of, I was very money hungry. And so I started selling myself. I started using, I was hanging out with people I should not have been around. And I learned the first time around that it's possible to relapse and not to be hard on yourself when it happens, because it's just part of your journey. It's not the end of the world. It happens to the most. This is why I love DPR. So many people that I met reached out to me, and I was honest with them, and I told them I relapsed, and I knew where the help was when I was ready. See, you can't get help unless you're ready. Like, if you're forced, it's not gonna work because you don't want it. So I called DPR up and I told them, I was like, can I get back into detox? And Corey told me, he was like, how about you do the treatment all over again? Are you willing to do what it takes? And I said yes. And a patient that was here last time with me, she brought me here. Yeah. So I surrendered again, and I'm going all in again, head first. This time I realized I can't walk on I can't sit on the fence. I cannot. Like I said before, I was such an extremist in my addiction. I have to be an extremist in sobriety. So it's black and white. There's no middle ground. I can't have the old mindset I had. I can't have the old mentalities I had. I have to have a whole different lifestyle and a whole new mentality.